Ladies and gentlepawns, I've cracked the Caro-Kann. I have figured it out, and in this video, which is a part of my classical climb series, if you're new, welcome. We're on day 8, and I've skipped a few because I forget which one I'm on, and yeah, I just played this game recently, and oh, you are in for a treat. You are in for a treat. So, I've been playing a lot of classical games with my board here. I have a chessboard, and I've been replaying my moves from the ones on the computer. And I've been playing a time format of, I think it's 30 minutes with 20-second increments. And it seems to be doing really well for me. So, let's take a look at this game. I have the black pieces. I'm against my opponent, who is 1952, named Estrad. Now, the ratings are kind of weird. These are Lee chess ratings, so ignore the rating. This is just me playing my best chess. I'm here to play my best chess, no matter what rating I am. I try my best and strive for over-the-board performance. That is the goal of this series until I reach and get my title. So that's kind of the idea. My opponent plays e4, and of course, you're always going to know my response. I do a Caro-Kann, and my opponent already strikes off the bat with c4. c4 basically says, you bum, you stupid, now I control this d5 square. And even if you play, I'm going to have more activity. But I still play d5 anyway. Because, I'm a stubborn human being. I play the Caro, and, I know my c6, d5. We get an exchange. And in fact, I stop here and I say, okay, do I take with the queen or do I delay captures? And usually in the meta, taking with the queen is kind of bad because then you get your queen tempoed on. And like, let's say you go queen to a5. Then you turn into this like Scandinavian type setup, but it's just like you lose these two pawns here. And yeah, but here's the thing about doing the modern, which I do, is that this pawn and this pawn are not going to be on the board for very long. Like, basically, this pawn is gone. I have more pressure on it, and there's nothing he can do. He plays knight to c4, and then he plays bishop to c4. So he basically says, oh, I'm just going to threaten captures with your knight and just leave your knight stranded. And this is kind of where I'm out of theory. And my idea is, okay, I'm fine with actually exchanging the knight. If you open up, I will destroy you and make sure you can't castle forever. In fact, I will play bishop c or bishop f4, and then e6, and then knight here, and bishop out, knight c6, and just basically say, you're stupid, you can't castle, and I'm going to be in better development. And so I take, and I believe this is theory, but, of course, the computer hates this move. And instead, he takes forward towards the center. And this is a very reasonable move. In fact, he wants to go c3 and play d4. And actually, for white, I really like this. And in fact, he wants to cause an imbalance of him having major pieces in the center and me trying to fight and win these two pawns. But the thing that is kind of bad about this move is this is a weak backwards pawn. And so now you're going to have to try and fight for the saving of this backwards pawn. And so I play queen to c7. And the reason why I play queen to c7 is it's kind of an idea that I thought was very, very cool. And I don't believe this is in the database. Actually, there is 7 games in the database playing this move. And yeah, I thought this was a very reasonable move. It attacks the bishop. And now I'm ready to play like knight c6, bishop to f5, e6, all these different moves, and castle short. I don't want to castle long. That's just common sense, just intuition, and just I'm not a lunatic like that. And he plays queen to b3, and this move was very logical. In fact, I was like, okay, he's threatening this, but it took some time to think about this move, and I was a little bit curious because I looked at this and I said, wait, wasn't his idea to play d4 and control this? This looks like a good attack, but in fact, I said, I don't think that's the most accurate move. In fact, I thought that this move can be defended and I can control this square at the same time with the very move e5. And e5 I thought was very logical, just simply because then I can play f6 in the future maybe. Let's say the queens are off the board, play f6. I don't want to do it now because he owns this diagonal. That would be very stupid if I did play f6 because he's just going to try and run. But e5 basically is protected by the queen. I'm now ready to play knight to c6. And yeah, enjoy a very nice center and just basically stop this idea. And then he plays knight to e2, and this move threw me off. But was also logical. He's supporting and threatening also d4 once again. But I just thought, why not attack the pawn right away? Like, it didn't make very much sense. Very much, yeah. It didn't make any sense at all. In fact, it made no sense that even my vocabulary represents this move. And yeah, just a little bit odd. I play knight to c6, and then he plays this bishop to b5 move. And I was instantly thrown off because now his idea, which was to put as much pressure on this f7 pawn, allows me to play a very good and tempoed move, which is bishop to e6, developing a piece and attacking the queen. And this I thought this is a great move. I love this move. Like, this is the only move in the position. In fact, I thought this was very great. I didn't see a6 as a very good move because he can always go back to this original square and still occupy. And so let's say he goes here, I just exchange the bishops and then play something like f6 because now, you know, the light square complex. And so I play this. In fact, hilariously enough, Stockfish laughs at me. He says, "Oh, this is not as good as a6." Sorry, Stockfish, you're not him, bro. Anyways, he plays queen to a4. And now I'm like, wow. Okay, there's pressure. But I just develop a piece. In fact, I'm going to go bishop to c5. Now, not the most accurate because now this is coming, and I knew that after this exchange I'd be walking back, but I was completely fine with that. I was going to have an open center anyway and just bring my rooks to the center, so that was the entire idea. And I thought this looked fine. There was no, you know, huge deficit, and even if he exchanged, yes, I'm going to have 2 pawn islands, but I can always compensate for it. Castles. And yeah, this is not the most accurate move. I think he should have just played d4 instantly, because then, you know, there's me risking these 2 doubled pawns, and now I can castle. Now this is out of the pin, and I'm in fantastic shape. I mean, I was loving this. I was like, bro, you just gave everything to me. You gave everything that the position wants to me. So thank you. Like, okay, next move. Anyways, takes. Yes, I have isolated pawns, but guess what? My bishop always going to go here. Maybe I play c5 to, you know, stop this. But then he plays this right away. And, you know, I take some time to think, and I was like, okay, well, the position, you know, demands something. And in fact, I guess I can just get rid of the center. The king is no longer pinned to this light squared complex, and therefore I can just exchange the pieces and now threaten this pawn. So computer says my position is slightly better, and I do think this position is very good for me. In fact, my pieces are active. I have 2 staring bishops in this diagonal. Loving life, living life. Yes, I have this isolated pawn, but does it really matter? I can just exchange it off, maybe do like c5 or something. Who knows? Well, like I said, I'm loving this position. Rook to c8, either from the F's file or the A file. Either of these rooks are good. And yeah, this is where my opponent makes the silly mistake of trying to protect this pawn. Like I said, what does the position demand? In fact, it demands immediate you know, immediate defense. I think he should have played just like, G3, but he loses a pawn. And in fact, after he moves his king to H1, I can just walk back and now I'm up a pawn. And this is the thing of the Caro. You play boring and you try and get up the small pieces, including the pawns, and that's how you win a game strong and thoroughly and without problems. And so now my opponent needs to come back. How are you going to regain my pawn? In fact, I took your pawn, so now what's the target now? Well, my target's this c6 pawn. If he can win the c6 pawn successfully, in fact, he can pretty much, make this game a very, very drawable. So he does rook to c1, a to c1. But like I said, what is the position of demand? Well, if I can hold on to the c6 pawn, I'll be good. Or even trade it off. Then I'm in great shape. And yeah, so what do? Well, I play rook f2 c8. Not the best move. I think the computer would have liked this because the queen defends, but then again, I don't want my queen being on this 7th rank forever. So let's say if I move this, then my queen's going to have to babysit the 7th rank and this weak pawn. In fact, he has this pawn, and if this thing gets promoted, we're kind of cooked. He plays knight here, and like I said, his threat is here. But is it really a threat? In fact, which is hilarious, I said, this is not a threat. And I'll show you why. And so I played h6 as just a waiting move. The reason why this is not a good move is because I can take, actually. You can take, I can take, and now what do you have? You're down a full piece and a pawn, bro. In fact, after a trade, you're dead lost. So I thought, oh, maybe he had this pin to, fork my bishop and queen, but it was non-existent. In fact, it was terrible, and so he played d5. But I was like, okay, I'll just take. Like, that's, thank you, thanks, bro, I guess. Like, and then he goes here. Once again, he thinks, oh, I have this nasty threat, and then I'm going to go for this pawn and try and regain this pawn. Now that the pawn on c5 is now dealt with after trading it off, or actually he just sacrificed a pawn, he's now trying to regain, something with this pawn, and he's saying, oh, well, now I have this pawn, and I'm going to attack this pawn. And this was the entirely wrong idea for him. So what do I play? Queen to d7. You cannot take with any of these minor pieces or the queen. In fact, there's this pin that I have, and I was like, so, okay, exchange this and lose your queen, right? No, he's not stupid enough. But you know what he is stupid enough to? Take the pawn with the bishop. He's overloaded. And when you're attacking for just a single pawn, you're in just terrible trouble. Like, way too much stuff coming your way. In fact, I played bishop to b8. Gross move. I saw this. I was like, oh, what are you gonna do, bro? You can't defend everything. Like, this is just trouble. And even exchanging with the rook, you're losing this bishop. He goes here to get out of the pin of the rook to somehow save this, but it's gone. The bishop's gone. Why? Because of the very nasty move. Queen b7. There are absolutely no moves. What does the position demand? This is what I've been learning. In fact, I've been training with this guy on Discord. Shout out to L Enthusiasm. If you're watching, you have been a great help. In fact, it's crazy what people will do to help you get better. I think he's around 2,500, but he was just pounding me in about not being nervous, not don't be confident, look for what the position demands, and go fight for it, and don't make random moves on the sake of random moves. In fact, this was a perfect game illustrating what does the position demand from start to finish. And I won this game. He plays a move because he loses his knight, and then I play this. I thought this was an inaccurate move, and played g6, but it's still winning. And my opponent resigned. I played g6 so that f5 isn't coming. And yeah, in fact, even if you played this, then there's absolutely nothing. Okay, I lose this pawn, but as long as my rook and queen are just sitting here or just defending and just, yeah, I exchange the pieces in the near future, white is pretty much lost. And after 27 moves, I made a very, very nice game for myself. And yeah, it was very impressive. Um, but yeah, it happens. Like, I really enjoyed my game, and I thought I did really well. And yeah. Now, chess.com likes to say my analysis is completely useless because if you guys wanted the game review, I had it 89.6. Well, you know what? Chess.com, you're a scumbag. Because I thought I played absolutely amazing. So, yeah. That was my game with the Panov attack. And I hope you guys learned a little thing or two. I'm still learning, but this game I thought was absolutely amazing, and I'm proud of myself. And I've been getting better. And yeah, I'm not gonna be perfect over the board all the time every day, but if you put in the practice, practice makes perfect. So yeah, get out of here. I've had enough of y'all shenanigans.